Anyway, baseball with the Boston Red Sox. Ethan, what's going on? This, damn it, could be, should be, might be, will be, maybe the first year that we actually make the playoffs. And I say that because as I show off the team, I think we could surprise a few people. I do think we could surprise a few people. At catcher, we're actually looking all right? With Austin Wells and Ronaldo Hernandez, who's somehow up to a 76, which is shocking to me that he ended up being that good. We're looking okay. We're looking all right. First base-wise, Tristan Casas. He's the man. He's the man. And look at Johnny McMahon. Soul Patch himself. Johnny McMahon. He's looking better. Bill Patel as well. We joked about, hey, we'll see you when you're 30. But that's starting to look like it's true. Second base, Nicky York. He is I believe, the weakest starter that we have. We do have a couple of people in the system. And actually, now that we're going through this, right, we should kind of take inventory on what we might need, right? We could still look for the elite catcher. First base-wise, I still think we're fine. I mean, especially because we have Casas for 2 more years. Second base, we do still need an elite second baseman if we can get him. So we'll see what happens there. At third, the goal is to try and move on from Nolan Jones and Nick Sogard so that David Chen can start playing in the majors with that gigantic beard. And again, it's just the idea of if we can find an elite third baseman, we go for it. Shortstop, Marcelo Meyer, we're golden. We don't need anybody there. I mean, we do need a little bit of depth, but it's nothing overly needed. I mean, we still have 2 more years of Meyer after this. In left, Miguel Dew and the legend himself, Kevin Simmons. I mean, again, he rejected. It would have made no sense to not sign him, given that we still had the chance to do so, even though, again, I don't know how I feel about signing players who reject, but it's also SDS's fault for not having them go right back into the draft and giving us a compensation pick instead. It's their fault. That's right. I said it. But yeah, in left, we should be okay. Center field, I mean, a future elite center fielder would still be great. It would be, if we can find it. And then in right, Chase DeLauder's here, which is great. So we really don't need much. And Miguel Blaze there too. So we're looking all right. The starting pitching is pretty much better than it's ever been. And we still have Bob Asensio, Jimmy Denton, and company in the system. So in terms of starters, dare I say we don't need them. And in terms of relievers, I mean, again, Garrett Crochet is still here. You know, as always, we could use some elite bullpen arms because we do have a lot of veterans. So we'll see what happens. But we're looking okay. That said, start of the season, ambient, what's going on? I want to look, as always, at the top prospect list. We all question them. And here we are. Now, catcher, it's fair that the compensation thing not being properly replicated ruins it. It's fair. I mean, it's a pretty big shortcoming. Vincent Ahn is the #1 prospect in baseball. Look at the Reds. Alexis Blanco and Jim Kell. But Doug Brown, while he's not top 5 anymore, he is still top 7. Bob Asensio, the #11 prospect in baseball. You got Vince Scruggs. I don't know if he'll ever make it, if we're being honest, but he is in the top 16. Do we have anybody else? Shout out to Homer Rubio. Oh, man. We have Jimmy Denton, #43. Kevin Simmons, our 7th overall pick, is only #46. It's a little bit disappointing, to be honest. It's a little bit disappointing. He looked like he'd be better than that, but that is the situation. In terms of, Yeah, there we go. 21st is our current ranking. So if defense and pitching is valued in this game, we might actually do some damage. We lost 11-9. Our first game of the season. How's Ronan doing? How's Cher doing? Let's take a look.
Oh,
why not?
Good
Let's take a look. Shout out to Charlie for the follow. Appreciate you, buddy. Good seeing you. The Blue Jays traded him. Where'd he go? We're going to use player search instead. Interesting. Interesting that the Blue Jays would trade him. Let's look for Ronan first. Yeah, Ronan Martin's insane. That said, our starting pitcher is better. So it's okay. Yeah, Ronan Martin's going to be insane. And then, what about the sure thing? Baltimore. 80 overall at 25 years. I mean, still, I'd love to have this guy in left. As a power hitter, I'd love to. But yeah, apparently they traded him to Baltimore at some point. All right, scouting-wise. Well, we're going to take a look here, there, and everywhere. There is one catcher, and again, we currently don't know the bonus allotments or where our draft picks will actually be, which is unfortunate. But Steve O'Connell is the only catcher projected to go in the first round. And there's no way that we're going to reach, at least with that first pick. And we got to find the best player we can. So let's look at Steve O'Connell because we could still use an elite catching prospect. There's only one first baseman, but we don't need him. But an elite second baseman? And there's two second basemen, Robbie Stark and Brian Connolly. So we will be looking at those three to kick things off, to try and make the most of what will be another high draft pick for us this year. And right as I said, I thought we could make the playoffs. We go 2-6 to kick off this new season. Love to see it. Okay, well, we know Connolly is not the real deal, and honestly, Robbie Stark isn't going to be worth that 7th overall pick is what I presume that we'll get. We're still going to look at Steve O'Connell, though. So, second baseman. Khalifa, it is. We can rule out elite second baseman, at least in terms of first-round pick. For the third baseman, nobody projected in the first round. We can rule them out right now as well. Is there an elite shortstop? There are two shortstops projected to go in the first round, Felipe Valdez and Felipe Cruz. And we will be looking at those two to kick things off. Sim another week here. I was going to say we're terrible, but we just kicked the hell out of Tampa, which is very surprising. All right, so again, I don't think Steve O'Connell's going to be the guy. We could get him 100% scouted. Bonus allotment's been decided, so we will know where our draft pick is. It's a top 10 pick. There's no way we're taking Steve O'Connell in the top 10. We'll keep looking at Valdez. Our scouts really don't like Cruz. I am going to keep scouting him out, though. Number 3, we won the lottery. We've moved up and have a top 3 pick for the very first time. Yes. Finally, after all of these years of tanking, we get a top 3 pick. Oh, the new lottery, how I love you. That said, oh my God, we have to deliver here. We have to hit on this pick. We have to. Shit. We absolutely have to hit on this pick here. Damn. The pressure did just go up. Shortstop-wise, no one else is a projected first rounder. We'll hold off. In left, only Calderon is a projected option. So we're going to put the Finland jersey on for luck. I should. Center field, Scott Duff. The only guy projected to go in the first round. We will look at him and the 2 shortstops really quickly. I would imagine we're taking a pitcher, just based off of how people normally end up looking. Playing 500 ball right now. Okay, Felipe Cruz. Oh my God. Our scouts think that Scott Duff is the best player in the draft. And he's projected 23rd. Okay. Let's take Cruz out of there. We are going to make Duff the top option. We'll still look at Valdez. And then in right, no one's projected in the first round. Let's start looking at pitchers. Doug Hudson, son of Tim. Let's do it. How's the new scouting system? I do like it quite a lot. I do. NHL could learn a thing or two. The way the draft plays out, though, makes it all worth it. Okay, now our scouts think that Scott Duff is the second best prospect in this draft. The question is, who is number 1? They don't believe that Doug Hudson is going to be amazing. But they do like Felipe Valdez at shortstop and Scott Duff at center field. Here's our situation. Neither of these guys have all that great of interest, but we do need to find more people. We do need to find more people before we start working on these guys. So Doug Hudson, through a very nice 69% scouted, it's not believed that he is number 1 quality. We'll look at Daryl Potts, Shelby Cruz, and Chris Wilkins. And we'll see what our scouts think about that. We essentially have to identify the top 3. And that way we guarantee that we get one of them. It's not going to be Shelby Cruz. Only 45% scouted, but we can be pretty confident in that. Potts and Wilkins, both worth still looking at. Right now our scouts really like Bob Aldridge, but I do want to keep looking at starters. There's only 2 other guys who are projected to go in the first round. Let's look at Chris Shelton. Honestly, let's take these guys out. Let's try to get more generalized info. We'll look at Shelton. We'll look at Abraham Mateo. Let's go over to relievers. We'll start off with that closer, Bob Aldridge. We're in a really interesting spot here, having won the lottery, moving up to 3rd, even though indeed we were bottom 7 last season. We are 55 days out from the draft. Our scouts do like Aldridge. They do like Mateo, but not top 3. So right now, our scouts have Duff, Aldridge, and Sims as the top 3, but we haven't taken a look at Sims yet. Are you able to discover new players? Yes. It's risky, though. It's risky to try and discover new players because you don't have as much time as you think, is typically the issue. I mean, there's 3 closers here that are projected to go in the first round, which means they likely slip to the second unless they do actually end up being great. But I still want to take a look. Again, you could argue, well, you kind of know who to take in the top 3, so start doing some secondary scouting. Okay. Jesus. Okay. I think I know what direction we want to go here. If I look at MLB rank, is there anybody that we don't have scouted? We'll take a look at Jermaine Ham. Take the bullpen arm 3rd overall. I probably won't, but maybe I will. I might not have a choice. I didn't realize at 3rd overall that I get to dictate who the AI does and does not take. To be just a little bit sassy. I am scouting relievers as well, hopefully for a 2nd round pick. All right, 6 games under 500, dead last in the division. Obviously, none of these guys are going to be worth a high draft pick. Who else do we have on MLB rank that we haven't at least gotten some info on? Starting pitcher Daniel Amasa. Do we have anybody else? Jack Avila, the Villa. And first baseman Rosé we do not need. Let's look at Connie Lantigua. Connie Lantigua. At the very least, too, some of these guys might just serve as 2nd round options. You know, they might slip. So, all right, Lantigua. Through 45%, our scouts have him as a top 10 caliber pick. Good to know. Is there anyone else besides Rosé? Preston Hitchcock. Gotta be honest, I actually do want to look at Rosé. No, I don't. I do because what if he's amazing? I gotta know. I gotta know because damn it, if he's a generational talent, even if it's a position that we do not need, it would still be a generational talent. Look at Marlon Salinas. There's a lot of starting pitchers, so you could say, hey, kind of look elsewhere, like I was saying, to kind of scout out 2nd and 3rd round. My opinion, we're already doing that. Of course, it is more pitchers than anything, but hey, we need pitchers. I mean, not so much starters, but Rosé does not look to be generational. Hitchcock looks good. Salinas looks good. All right. Week 11 of 14. In terms of dudes who are projected to go in the 1st round, we do need a reliever in Kevin Rush. So we can look at him. Hopefully for round number 2. This Horvath is another reliever. And the starter, Roberto Pedroza. Screw it. Let's stay consistent. Let's stay consistent. Those are the guys here. I am wondering if I should focus more on the guys that we might take top 3 for these last 2 weeks, but let's see what we're dealing with. Okay. So nobody amazing. But knowing that that draft ranking can change based on being fully scouted or anything like that. Am I really worried about some of these relievers that are projected to go lower? No, I'm not. So our top 3 targets. Scott Duff as a center fielder, I think, is our top target. There's 2 closers, Pip and Aldridge. Sean Pip especially. There's the shortstop, Felipe Valdez, a starting pitcher, and Daniel Amasa. Antigua's a starter. Yeah, you just start getting into a whole bunch of starters there. There is the shortstop, Edgar Minoso, grandson of Minnie, but again, we don't have him scouted at all. It'd kind of be nice to know why by default our scouts think that he's good. I think it's got to be Valdez. It is going to be Valdez. Our 3rd priority is going to be Sean Pip. Not saying I'm taking him top 3, but we are going to hope that he's available in the 2nd round. Because he was looking better than Aldridge. Otherwise, it's a Massa. I could scout that other shortstop, but you know, for this week, actually, it's a fair point. We'll get a little bit of info on him, and then next week we'll add that closer. Man, we have to deliver at this draft. There's so much pressure now. So much pressure. It still likes Minoso quite a bit. So at least we know if he were to fall, he's not going to be a bust. But let's get Sean Pippen there. We got 2 weeks left. And again, I think we have to try to up the interest of the players who are already there rather than focusing on second or third round or beyond in terms of scouting. So if I make you a silver, okay. That still works for me. Duff's potential went up. Duff and Pip are both looking great. Pip is 85 to 95. It's insanity. All right. This is about to be a very, very stressful draft.